My experiences in high school as a whole did help me get lots of financial aid going into school. Just the help and the academic environment here at HAR-BER. I did not pay a cent for college. I don't think there's anything wrong with staying where you're from, and especially with what we have here. I mean, Northwest Arkansas and Springdale it's continuing to grow so much. It's so exciting to see the things that are happening. I'm Mateo Campagnola, and I am a portrait of a Springdale graduate.
Hi, thank you for joining us for Springdale today. I'm your host, Mary Jordan. Joining us today is Tyson School of Innovation student, Ramey Cassady, who's going to be talking with us about everything from Formula One racing to physics to mechanical engineering today. Ramey, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about all my interests.
Yeah, well, we were saying earlier that we had seen you as like the spotlight student in October at the school board meeting. And after hearing you talk, we just wanted to talk to you more and find out. Everything you were sharing was so interesting and cool. So we're looking forward to everything you have to share today.
Thank you.
Now, are you from Springdale originally?
Yeah, I was born here. I've lived here my entire life. I've gone through the Springdale School District my entire childhood.
What schools did you attend?
I attended Bernice Young Elementary for kindergarten through 5th grade, and then I joined Tyson School of Innovation as their first 6th grade class. So I've been there since 6th grade.
All right. Now, and what about your family?
My older brother, also Bernice Young Elementary, went to Hellstern and then went to Tyson from 8th to 12th grade. And then both of my younger brothers did the same thing I did. My parents are from Virginia, and they moved here for work before I was born. So I've been here my whole life.
All right. And are you graduating this year?
I am graduating this year. I'm class of 2025.
All right. Now, I want to be sure I read this because I want to get it right. Now, these might actually be even more updated based on what I had, but I have that you have a GPA of 4.339, an ACT score of 35, and that you've taken 13 AP classes. Is that right?
That's all pretty close. The GPA is a little higher after my first semester this year, but yeah, that's my current stats.
What's your GPA now?
Like 4.36, 4.37, something like that.
How do you get a GPA that's more than 4.0?
So for most schools, you have an unweighted GPA and a weighted GPA. So my unweighted is technically a 4.0. I've gotten A's in every classes I've taken that's worth a high school credit. But most schools also weight a GPA based on AP classes. So those 13 AP classes are weighted on a scale of 5 rather than 4. So a A in an AP class is 5.0 instead of 4.0. And then when you average out your GPA, you can get higher than a 4 if you've gotten all A's.
Well, it's an amazing 0.0 is what it is. It really is very, very impressive. Now, out of all those AP classes, which one was your favorite?
Probably AP Physics. I took that actually my sophomore year, and it kind of introduced me to I kind of always loved math, and it really introduced me to using math to predict outcomes or, do calculations that you can see real results of. And it kind of inspired me for what I could actually do with my skills. And so I really enjoyed that class. I got to do a lot of experiments that I really enjoyed.
In a lot of sciences, I understand it carries over into your extracurriculars too, right?
Yeah. So, I'm in robotics. And so one of those things that carries over is the physics aspect is, a lot of times in robotics, we have to do something like hanging on a bar or shooting an object. And one of the things that helps with that is before you design something, you have to calculate, the amount of torque you need or the amount of velocity you need to shoot something a certain distance. So, yeah, using those math and physics skills from school has definitely applied to my extracurriculars as well.
Very cool. And so, what can you share about how you became involved in robotics and some of the experiences you've had as a part of that extracurricular?
Yeah, so I do what's called First Robotics, more specifically First Tech Challenge now. I initially joined in 3rd grade. I joined a First Lego League team, which is the lower version of First Robotics. You build little Lego robots that complete tasks on a table. I joined because my older brother did it. My dad was the coach at Bernice Young Elementary of the team called the Younglings at that time. They no longer exist, but my older brother was on the team, then I was on the team, and then when my older brother got older, he created the FTC team I'm a part of called Root -1. We were initially associated with the Tyson School of Innovation. Now we're community-based, but I also joined that team when I was in 7th grade, so that was my first year on this First Tech Challenge team. And then I've worked since then it's my biggest extracurricular. I spend a part-time job's worth of time on it during the season. Like right now, we're preparing for the World Championship after we advance from the state championship. So yeah, I think some of my better memories are like competing. I'm a very competitive person, so competing at the state championship, and then last year at the World Championship, we were an alliance captain in our division, which means we were one of the top-ranked teams. We had to form an alliance and play in essentially playoff matches, and that was a lot of fun as a competitive person, and to be able to see like the work I put in pay off at such a high level is really fun.
Well, how do those competitions work exactly?
Yeah, so there's a judging side and a robot competition side. So the judging side, we essentially compile everything we've done throughout the year. So that's like robot design, control mechanisms, so like code, and then also community service. So we do community service in support of STEM and robotics in the community. Like, for example, I mentor an FLL team now that I'm no longer an FLL, or we host robotics tournaments and volunteer. And then we present all of that information to judges, and then they give us awards based on the certain criteria we fit. And then after that happens, and also kind of while that's happening, at a tournament, we will compete in the robot game. So each new year, there's a new robot challenge that we have to complete. We design a robot, and then by the state championship, we compete against other teams on 2-team alliances. So we get partnered up with other teams we may have never worked with before, and then we have to work together to score the most points possible. And then based on how many matches you win in what's called qualification matches, you move on to the playoff matches, depending on if you're an alliance captain or you can be picked by an alliance captain. And then you compete in this double elimination playoff bracket. And then the top alliance, gets the top alliance award. The finalist alliance gets an award. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then for state level competition, the highest judged award and the winning alliance captain are the teams that advance to the World Championship. So we were the winning alliance captain at our state championship just a few weeks ago. So that's why we're preparing for the World Championship now.
Good for you. When is the World Championship?
April 11th. I think it's the week of April 11th, I believe.
That's not far away. Now, you definitely have a lot on your plate, just listening to you talk. And we haven't even touched on all of our discussion points today yet. So why carve out time to work with youth in volunteering and learning robotics?
I think it's what inspired me as a kid, and I want to do the same for other people. I think, and it's not just going to be high school. Like, it's great to put all these community service applications, community service activities on my college applications. And so some people do it for that reason. But also, I've loved FIRST Robotics throughout my elementary school and high school experience, and I want other people to have that same experience. So, like, even when I go to college, finding local FIRST organizations I can volunteer at. I'm probably going to fly home every February to volunteer at the Arkansas State Championship. So, like, I still want to stay involved with it because I want it to grow, and I want more people to get involved with it just because of how much fun I've had with it over my, youth experience.
That is so neat because you're generally not going to know how many lives you've touched and the difference you've made just in that volunteerism. So thank you for doing that. One of the reasons why we wanted to chat with you is because you had such a wide variety of things that you're involved with that were also interesting. And so you study music as well, and that's kind of opened up some exciting doors for you too, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I play euphonium and concert band, and I've done a lot of, not just within like my ensemble at school, but I was part of a brass band. I've taken euphonium lessons. I think the biggest thing I've gained from that is all the people I've met. People with different backgrounds. Like, I want to do engineering in my future, but then like the local brass band like has an engineer or two in there who just play their instrument for fun, which is something I also want to do as I get older. Keep playing my instrument. I think it keeps me mentally diverse, in the way I think about things. Being involved in music is different than being an engineer, right? So I also think it's connected me with a lot of people throughout the state. So like, I traveled to Russellville to be in the Arkansas Tech Youth Wind Ensemble, so that was fun too. I was actually in the University of Central Arkansas Honor Band this year for the first time, and that was really fun. I kind of meet people from across the state that I get to meet up with again in the future, and like, oh, hey, it's been a while since I've seen you, and that's really fun, and I hope I get to continue that into college as well.
Euphonium, what exactly is a euphonium?
It's like a small tuba. If you ask any of my friends, that's like my least favorite thing to say, because it's not really a small tuba, but that's what most people view it as. It's a conical brass bore instrument. It's very beautiful. It's W. Dale Warren, who teaches at the University of Arkansas, one time when he came to teach our band, he called it God's instrument because it sounds like the angels are coming when you're playing it. So I really think it's the best instrument. Obviously, I'm biased, but I've really fallen in love with how it sounds and being able to play it, and letting other people experience that sound is also rewarding.
Has there been an internship as well that you've been able to experience as a musician?
Oh, yeah. So our school actually has a music internship program. So this year I'm a music intern for the middle school symphonic band. So that's the higher middle school band at our school because our school is 6 through 12. So what I've done is earlier in the year I taught the euphonium players. I helped them with their all-region music to prepare for their all-region auditions. And then as they're approaching their concert assessment upcoming in April, which so is the high school band, I'm there during their class periods, providing advice on like technical things that the middle schoolers might not understand yet, or even just like stylistic things that I've developed an ear for over the years. So it's a really fun experience to teach younger kids and help give them a head start that I might not have had, like when I was in 8th grade, right? I didn't have all the context of someone teaching me while I was in rehearsal. So I think I've provided some help to them through that.
You must have extra hours in your day. I don't know how you're getting all this in there. We are chatting today with Ramey Cassady, who's a student at Don Tyson School of Innovation. He's up to some pretty cool things inside and outside of the classroom that we're going to be chatting with him about today. One of the things when we saw you chatting at the school board that made us stop, because of all the sports we've ever heard discussed at school board, yours was a first. You have a passion for Formula One racing, right?
Yeah, so I'm wearing the jacket today for McLaren. Let's think. So like 3 years ago, I think it was right before the 2022 season, my parents actually started watching during the 2020 season because of the Netflix show Drive to Survive. And me and my older brother thought it would be a good idea to kind of combine our interests by gifting them a racing simulator, because me and my older brother love video games. And at that time, we weren't really into Formula One, but we knew about simulators. And we thought maybe this would kind of combine our interests. And then it kind of backfired because then I was the one on the racing simulator all the time. And so that was in the Christmas before the 2022 season. And there were no races at that time. It was during what's called the winter break. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos about Formula One. Like, I really got into it. I was racing on the simulator all the time, and I was super excited. And I'd kind of always known I wanted to be an engineer in some capacity because my dad was. I've always been good at math. But I never knew what field or what I want to do in a field. And then I did some research on Formula One is the peak of motorsport engineering. So people will tell you it's less a motorsport, more of an engineering sport. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes designing those cars between seasons, when there are new regulations during the seasons. And I think that really, felt like something I would love to do, because I've talked about how I'm a competitive person. It's like competitive engineering. So it's kind of now my dream to become a engineer in motorsport, and then hopefully one day I could move to Europe, or actually now there's an American F1 team coming in 2026, and their factories will be in America, so maybe I won't have to move to Europe like I thought I would. And yeah, I'd be able to work with other fantastic engineers. Building a race car would be really awesome.
It really would be. Are there any classes that you took at D2SI that's kind of spoken into that passion as well?
I think there's a lot of classes that will apply. So I've taken a decent amount of math classes, the calculuses, the physics, statistics, stuff like that. I took a lot of classes in high school to kind of figure out what I really enjoyed, even non-STEM classes. I've taken quite a few of them just to see if maybe that's where my passion actually lies. And I've definitely found that it's in the math and science side of things. And I think college will really provide that context. There's a higher level of thinking once you go to college for engineering than you can ever get in any high school math or engineering course. Like, especially, there are so many aspects to Formula One engineering that finding what I'm good at will really happen at college.
And have you ever had an opportunity to go to a race, something beyond the simulator?
Yeah, so actually this last October, I went to the Formula One race in Austin, Texas at Circuit of the Americas. It was really awesome. I first experience seeing cars in person in the grandstand on the main straight. It was really cool. I think, I was a little worried in the back of my mind, or my parents were, that like when I saw it in person, I'd be like overwhelmed, or like, oh, I didn't really enjoy this as much being there in person, but I did. I really enjoyed it. Even though McLaren had a pretty bad weekend that weekend, which is my favorite team, it was still awesome being there, hearing the engines, watching them go by. It's really a different experience in person than it is on TV.
And you talked about designing cars. Is there more to it? I have to think that being a member of a Formula One team at that level would be more than just putting a car together.
Yeah, it's very complex. Teams have hundreds to thousands of team members, engineers working. So some of the things I've thought about is, there are the team members who work back at the factory. So they're like designing the chassis, which is a very rigid structure, the aerodynamics of the car, which is all about fluids. So that's what people talk about. The two aspects of mechanical engineering are, solids and fluids. And so that's kind of where you get that in Formula One teams. And then there's also the team that designs the engine. And that's actually separate from the teams individually. They're engine manufacturers. And so that's much more complex, has to do with both solids and fluids, because there's like fuel injection systems and stuff like that. There also is the electronic side that kind of goes with the engine as well. And then there are the people who are actually on the track. So a lot of the people who are on the track are mechanics, not necessarily engineers. So they'll do like pit stops or quick fixes on the car throughout the weekend. But then there are engineers trackside. So like the engineers who talk to the drivers during the race, those are race engineers, strategy engineers who decide what tires are best based on the temperature, the weather, things like that as well. So it's like clockwork. It's a lot of gears fitting into place trying to get the team to work together. And at this point, I think I would happy to be involved with any of it. And knowing what I'm best at, like I said, will come based on college and some different experiences I can have then, and internships maybe as well.
That is so exciting. I'm so excited for you. Is there any particular driver or team that if your dream team to work with, who would that be?
Yeah, right now I would accept any offer. But of course, for me, it's McLaren. I don't know really what initially drew me towards McLaren. I don't know, maybe it's the color, maybe it's the history. Some of the best drivers ever have raced there, some that are more memorable, some that are less. I could go on all day talking about the historic drivers, but currently it's Lando Norris. I don't know, maybe it was his Twitch streams that he's a younger guy, so more relatable, that kind of got me to like him. But I liked actually McLaren before I liked the drivers. That's not necessarily common these days. A lot of people like drivers and then like teams because of the drivers. I was more a McLaren guy, and then became a Lando Norris guy because I was a McLaren fan. So yeah, if I had to work anywhere, it would definitely be McLaren.
And so you've done so much throughout high school, and even your senior year sounds very packed. What are your plans for after graduation to sort of make these pathways toward Formula One racing a reality?
Yeah, so I've applied to a decent amount of colleges, gotten some rejections, some acceptances. Wherever I'm going, I'm going to study mechanical engineering, try to get involved with a lot of schools have what's called Formula SAE. You build like a little Formula race car to get people ready for motorsport after they're done with college. I'm probably going to do an internship, maybe not with a Formula One team, but with some type of motorsport. I've applied to multiple colleges in Indiana, and that connection to IndyCar, being close to Indianapolis, getting an internship with an IndyCar team maybe during a summer while I'm at college could provide me some context to get ready for Formula One after I graduate college.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens. And no matter what happens, I hope that you'll keep us informed, because we're always excited to see what our graduates go on to do, because they really go on to do some really cool things.
Yeah, I'll be back in Springdale.
Every February, at least, right?
Yeah, every February I'll be here for a robotics tournament. So if you need to talk to me, let me know.
We definitely will. So you've got such a myriad of things that you're involved with. Is there anything that you want to share with us that I haven't thought to consider today?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think we've kind of gone through almost everything. No, sounds about right. Yeah.
No, sometimes no's the answer. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Ramey, for being here with us. I really enjoyed our time talking together today.
Thank you. I did too.
And thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Mary Jordan, and I look forward to chatting with you more in the future about what's happening in Springdale today.
Springdale Today is a production of Springdale Public Schools Communication Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates and behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us in the future
as we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.